Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. So I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Montegrappa Extra Otto in the pearl grey. We have a Montagrappa Extra 1930 and this is in the striped zebra. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 and this is in the vertical zebra. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 and this is in the dove of peace. We have an Onoto and this is the Rosetta stone. We have a London Pen Company and this is the NONA 14. We have a Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. A Visconti Homosapiens Demostones Sapphire, a Visconti Chatley Luxuries Southwest, and a Visconti Homosapiens London Fog. So I think let's go through these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is a beautiful pen. This is the Montegrappa Extra, and this is the Otto. And you can see here it has this beautiful pearl grey celluloid there. It is celluloid, it's not a resin, but you also have the lovely Otto logo there on that cap band as well. These are a really nice pen. You have the Montagrapher logo there on the cap finial, and then you have the limited edition number there, which if I get it up the right way, it's 18 of 20. Very nice pen, and I have to say I am really liking these facets, so I will definitely be picking up. I like the extra 1930s, but I think actually prefer more facets on a pen, so I think if I were to pick up any more, I will be picking up some extra Ottos. I will have to see what kind of celluloid material they come in and whether or not any of those actually do appeal to me though. But this is a really nice pen. It's a piston filling pen. You've got a solid silver section there. You have a number 8 size Montagrapher nib. You can post the cap and it posts very deeply way over that piston knob. So you're not, if you were to try and twist this as you remove it, you are not going to really engage that piston. So this really is a beautiful pen. I'm so glad I was able to add this. This is a pen that I like that material. I like that celluloid. And I think it's very similar, if not identical, to the material that Omos used to use, I think in the London Smoke, or there was a pearl grey there as well that they used to use. The next pen here, again, is another Montagrappa. It's an extra 1930, but it is in the striped zebra. Now, this is a beautiful material. You'll see that it has some chatoyance there. So you'll see as I rotate it, it gets lighter and darker. I do like that material a lot. It has the 1912 medallion there that is synonymous for Montagrappa pens. And then you will also see the limited edition number there as well. So this is actually quite a nice pen, and I have to say that I am really liking this. Again, a solid silver section, number 8 size Montagrappa nib, piston as well. You can post the caps, but on the extra 1930, I'm going to try not to get ink all over my fingers. But when you post that cap, it does post onto the back of that piston. And this is one reason why I don't post my caps, because when you're pushing this on hard and you're trying to wiggle and fight to get it off, you are actually putting a lot of stress on this piston mechanism. So this is one of the main reasons why I don't normally post my caps. If you do have a pen or a cap that posts deeply and securely like the Extra Otto, it's not a problem. But if you do find though that you have a pen like the Extra 1930 where it will not post that deeply and securely, then you do have to be a little bit careful. I have heard from pen repairers and likewise manufacturers where they have had pens back where piston knobs have been either snapped off or the actual rod itself within the body has snapped. A lot of manufacturers, certainly a lot of Italian manufacturers, Omar spring to mind, Scribo as well, use plastic or even in some cases ebonite piston rods. So they are very easy to snap. So some manufacturers will use metal rods. I know Visconti use titanium, which is a lot more, not only stronger, but it's also resists the corrosion of ink as well. Typically, a lot of pen manufacturers will go for plastic rods because they do not corrode and they are cheap. The next pen I have here again is another Montagrapher. This is the again extra 1930, but this is the vertical zebra. So you have the striped zebra where the if you imagine a block of this material, it's cut in one direction, and then the vertical zebra will be cut in another direction, and it creates a very, very different pattern. So you can see the difference here. It's night and day, honestly, between the two. Again, you see the 1912 medallion there from Montagrappa, and likewise, if I get it up the right way, you'll see the limited edition number there on the piston knob. If I unscrew the cap, again, it's solid silver section. You've got a Montagrapher number 8 size nib, piston filling mechanism. These are really good, and I have to say I do like them. Now, again, it posts onto the back of the piston knob, so if you are going to be posting caps, do be careful. You can do damage there if you're not careful on most pens. If you do have a pen though that posts more deeply and securely, it's not an issue. The next pen I have here again is a Montegrappa Extra 1930, but this is a slight twist and difference here. You still have the cap finial medallion or coin there. It is an Extra 1930, but it's a much lighter pen, and the reason being is that this isn't a piston knob. And if I unscrew the cap, there's a number of things here. First off, there is no solid silver section. It is a celluloid section. The second is it has a number 6 size nib, not a number 8 size nib. And this has got a dove on it, because this is the dove of peace. And then likewise, if I unscrew the body, you will see a converter there. So this is a lot different than the other Extra 1930s. And also the Extra Otto as well. Still a very nice pen. Still it's celluloid as well, and I do like it. But I did have to think a little bit longer before pulling the plug on that one. I knew it was a number 6 size nib. It was advertised as that when I went to buy it. I knew it was a cartridge converter as well, and that was weighing on my mind a bit. I don't mind cartridge converters. I have a lot of cartridge converter pens. The pistons I typically do prefer, or the power vacs, because they hold more ink. I do typically find myself actually having to constantly refill converters, because I do typically do a lot of writing when I write letters. But converters are easy to fix or replace, easy to clean, just so much easier to maintain the pen. So it was cheaper as well compared to these three, so I decided I would buy that. If it was the same price, then I probably wouldn't have. The next pen, which I had also inked up last week, is this one, and it's the beautiful Onoto, the Rosetta stone. And you can see there, Onoto, England. And this has, if I show you on the cap band, the Rosetta stone. and it also has a huge amount of engraving going on this cap. It's amazing. Not only that, you have a huge amount going on the body as well. So you have a lot of hieroglyphs here, but also you have a much smaller hieroglyphs as well. Now, this pen isn't a cheap pen, and I said that about the Magna Carta that I bought. I did get this for a very good price, and I do want to thank Roy at iZods, because I did pick this up from Roy, and he did do me a very good deal. And I have to say that retail price, this is about, I think, about £800 more than the Magna Carta. And the reason being, when I asked Onoto this before, last year when I was looking at it, they said that because of the sheer amount of engraving going on here, it takes about another 5 days to engrave the whole of this pen. Now, it is a cartridge converter. It's solid silver with a silver section, a number 7 size Onoto nib there. It's a fine nib. It is a cartridge converter, and I have refilled it as well. So it's got quite a lot of ink there. I say quite a lot in a converter. So it's 0.7 milliliters of ink a converter will hold. A piston is normally around somewhere between 0.9 and probably 1.2, 1.3. So a piston filling pen, you're going to see a little bit more there, ink-wise, capacity-wise, than you would on a cartridge converter. Almost double, but it's still, a cartridge converter will still get you through quite a few pages of ink without any issues whatsoever. The next pen here I have inked up is the London Pen Company. This is the new model that Sean has created, the NONA 14. And I have to say I am in awe. NONA for 9-sided. It's an octagon. It's a beautiful pen. It's made out of the material from Jonathan Brooks called Bohemian Twilight. And I am just in awe of this material. It's got a lovely turquoisey, coppery, irony colour going on there. Very, very nice. It's also a matte finish. And typically, I'm trying to think, outside of maybe this or this Ryan Krusac pen, I guess they are matte finishes, but typically in a resin pen, you don't normally see a matte finish. But I think it really stands out in this pen, and I think Sean has really made a great pen here. It has a concave section, so your finger and thumb rest very comfortably in there. They're not going to slip away. It is a cartridge converter. It's a OCT number 6 size nib. This is a broad nib. You can't post the cap on this, so if you are a serial cap poster and you have to post the cap, you're not going to be able to do it on the NONA 14. However, I do believe that Sean may be coming out with some more models soon, and possibly you might find one that will post, but I think it's going to be difficult with the 9 facets here, because trying to have a cap which typically is round on the inside and a facet on the outside of the body, it's a lot harder to try and get those two to match up. The next pen here is a pen I've had inked up for quite a few weeks, I think. This is the Ryan Krusac. It's the Legend 16, and this is in the Dragon Slayer. The cap is made of wood, and you can probably see there that there are dragon scales, and you have this beautiful dragon here, which if I turn it around you'll see, and then the Dragon Slayer, which is getting a little bit hot under the collar. I'd say a little bit like a toasted marshmallow. And if I rotate it round, you will see here Ryan Krusac's signature, and it says 99 of 150. So 99, this is number 99 of 150 of these that will be made. Now, one thing that you might not understand is that when you have a limited edition one, it doesn't mean that 150 have been made. All manufacturers do this. They don't make, so for instance, Visconti on the London Fog would make 888 of them. They don't make all 888 in one go and then just start and flood the market with them. They make them in batches. So maybe the first batch will be 100, the second, third, fourth batch, maybe 50 at a time, and then they'll just trickle them out onto the market. Same thing with Ryan Krusac. He doesn't do all 150 pens. So you can still get these years on, like you can get Visconti Homosapiens London Fog years on. I think this came out in 2016. You can still, it's getting more difficult to find them, but you can still buy them from retailers if you know the right retailer. And if you don't and you want one, let me know, because I know somebody that has got some stock. But this is, going back to the Ryan Krusac pen, this is an interesting pen. This is made of antler. It's not polished, it's not lacquered, so you do have to be a little bit careful. It is natural antler. It will stain if you get ink on it, so you do have to be a little bit more careful. It has a number 6 size Yovo nib. It's got RK on the nib there. A little bit of nib creep there with ink. It's a cartridge converter pen, and I will show you that here. There's a lot of threads keeping this in, and that is the cartridge. So I have to say I am loving this pen a lot. I do have a medium nib on there at the moment. I might swap that out eventually for a broad nib. I haven't really decided. I am still liking the medium nib, but I do find Yovo medium nibs a little bit more on the finer side. That said, I do have some Esterbrookes with Yovo nibs, medium nibs. I even actually have a few fine, and I'm liking those as well. So I can typically do fine, medium, broad, and sometimes stub. I used to do a lot of stub nibs, not so much nowadays. I typically do not do extra fine because I do find them a little bit too extra fine for me. The next pen, I had this inked up last week, is the Visconti Homosapiens, and this is the Demostones in Sapphire Blue. And you'll see there, it has the blue sapphire Demostone there. And what do I like? What do I not like about Homosapiens? I really do like Homosapiens. I like that they're a Powervac filler. I like that they are a double reservoir. I like that they have a hook safe lock mechanism for a quarter of a turn. I like the concave section there. It's just so much more comfortable to hold in my hand. These new Demostone pens have a 14 karat gold nib with a different motif on the nib there. It doesn't bother me now. It did bother me to start with. I thought I wouldn't buy one of these. However, I am liking it. I have the original red Caput Mundi. I have the original jade, and now I have the blue one. I think I might have to get other colours when they become available, just to match them up. I don't typically do sets, although I do have a number of pens in a number of ranges or models of pens, but I don't have to complete all of the set of pens in that model. The next pen here is a Visconti. It's a Chatley Luxuries exclusive. So Bryant from Chatley Luxuries did this exclusive with Visconti. This is called the Visconti Chatley Luxuries Southwest. It is a celluloid, a beautiful blue, black, some hints of purple in there as well, I would say. Some oranges as well. Beautiful pen. It's the same celluloid material that was in the Speakeasy, also the St. Basil. I have both of those, by the way, and I do love it. Again, it's a Powervac filler. It's got a lot of the design of the Homosapiens. It is a single reservoir, but it does have the hook safe lock mechanism. It does have the concave section there. Has a number 6 size Visconti nib. This is the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. And I have to say I do like that a lot. I have that always inked up with the same Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red, and I do like it. The last pen here inked up is my trusty Visconti Homosapiens London Fog, and I really do love this pen a lot. And as I said earlier, if you really want one of these and you can't find the retailer, let me know, because I do know of one, and I have probably sent, I want to say, at least 50, if not 100 people his way in buying these. It's got to be over 100, I would think, by now, because there are 888 of these available. He did buy up a lot of the latest or last stock of the London Fog. Beautiful pen. You have this celluloid ribbon going throughout the body here. It doesn't shine as much when you have ink in the body, but it still is quite nice. Again, power vac filler, double reservoir, hook safe lock mechanism, and also a concave section. Makes it really comfortable. Now, you can post that cap, and it posts quite nicely there as well. So for me, this is really the perfect weight pen for long writing sessions. I do like it a lot, and I still love writing with that pen. I bought that in, I think it was 2017, towards the end of 2017. And I still write with it a lot. It really is the perfect pen for me. So I think with that, let's now go into a writing sample. So the first pen is the Montagrapher, and this is the Extra Otto. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you'll see here, this is actually a really nice writing pen. It writes quite wet, and it's also a medium writing nib. So this is the Monty Grappa, and it is the Extra Otto, and it is the pearl grey or grey pearl. It is a medium, and it is an 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is Venvistus, and this is effectively London Fog. I always forget the Italian name of that ink, but it basically translates to London Fog. The next pen here inked up is Montegrappa Extra 1930 in the striped zebra. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is, again, it's not a dry writing nib. It is a somewhat wet writing nib, but the ink in here that I've got is quite a dry writing ink. So it does actually make the pen write a little bit drier. So if you have a pen that writes too wet with an ink, try a different ink, because sometimes you can surprise yourself. So this is the Montagrapher, and it is the Extra 1930, and it is the striped zebra, and it's celluloid. It is a medium, and again an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Grape. Now, if you have this ink, do let me know if you think that that is a dry writing ink, because I do find it in the Montagrapher Typically, Montagrappers do write a little bit more drier as well, although I've got quite a few here that actually do write quite wet. But do let me know if you think that in your pens, and what pen you use Diamond Graping, whether or not it does actually write wet or dry. The next pen is the Montegrappa Extra 1930, and this is in the vertical zebra. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is a really, really nice writing nib. Does have a bit more bounce to this nib actually, which I also do like to see as well. So this is the Montegrappa Extra 1930, and it is the vertical zebra. And again, it's a medium 18 cat gold nib. Now, I have to say, when I first saw the name of this, vertical zebra, what does that mean? A zebra or zebra going vertical? It just doesn't make sense. But if you understand the way the material was cut, then you do understand it. Now, the ink in here is Akamon. And I just want to double check this because I think, yeah, is it? No, it's not a Dutch Masters. It's number 6, and it is Binnenhof Blues. And I think it may even actually have 2 Fs. Let me just double check. No, just 1 F. But that is a very nice blue. It's got a hint of purple in it. I wouldn't quite call it a blurple. You might be able to get away calling it a blurple, but I would say it's a little bit more of a blue, saturated blue. The next pen is the Montegrappa Extra 1930, and this is the Dove of Peace. So we'll do the ink swatch here. Now, I do find that this nib writes very dry. And I know I have had some people ask me, how do Montagrapher nibs write? Because some people say that they write dry, some people say they write wet. And honestly, I would have to say it's a bit of a mix. Sometimes I find they do write wet and sometimes dry. The ink can also make a bit of a difference as well. So this is the Montagrapher. But you can see here it's already looking more like a fine nib. And I'm just going to have a look just to double check this. It is actually a medium nib as well. I just wanted to double check it because I was actually doubting myself there for a moment. So it's the Montegrappa Extra 1930. And this is the Dove of Peace. Now it may be I need to change this ink and maybe put a different ink in. I'm just going to flush the, not flush, I'm just going to prime the converter a little bit and just see if that helps. So this is a medium, there you go, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Akamon. It's a Dutch Masters, and it is Steenrode van Vermeer. Now, this is supposed to be really a darker red. I find it's more of a brownish red, to be honest. But still, it's a nice ink. I just don't use that colour as much. I think the one that I prefer, I'm just looking at my bottles, is Akamon Dutch Masters Charlaken Van Jan Steen, because that's a much more, I guess, regular red. There's also Rembrandt's Carmozogen as well. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, and this is the Rosetta Stone. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this does come across as a little bit of a watercoloured, washed sort of ink where it's been diluted. It hasn't. It's just, this is how the ink always looks. Now, I have put this ink in a Visconti Homosapiens, and I have found it writes a lot darker. So again, like, the ink can change depending on the nib that you put it in. So this is an Onoto Rosetta Stone. And this is a fine, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. It's a number 7 size nib, and then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Kirisami, and I've put this in a Visconti Homosapiens Dark Age in a medium nib, and as you may know, Visconti medium nibs, palladium nibs, 23 cat palladium nibs, typically write a little bit more like a Western broad, so it puts down a lot more ink and it will actually appear a lot darker as well. The next pen inked up is the London Pen Company, and this is the NONA 14. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a broad nib. I do like the broad nibs. This is a Bock nib as well, and I do like the Bock broad nibs. So this is the London Pen Company, and it is the NONA 14 in Bohemian Twilight. And it is a broad steel Bock nib, and the ink in here is Caran Dash, or Caran Dash, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and it is vibrant green, which to me is not vibrant, or vibrant maybe enough. I don't know why Caran Dash called it vibrant green. It's probably just the way that they thought about describing a green colour. I guess there is some vibrancy to this, but it's not like a really bright neon green that I would call a vibrant green. The next pen is the Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this, again, is a really nice writing nib. So this is the Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in the Dragon Slayer. And it is a medium, and it's a steel Yovo nib, and the ink in here is Noodler's, and this is actually Apache Sunset, but I'm going to call it by its new name, which is Southwest Sunset, but I will put here Apache Sunset as well. But it has been a little bit of a controversy more recently this year with Noodlers and their naming of inks. They've gone back and renamed a bunch of their inks, and I always, strangely enough, I always thought Apache not to be a very good name for an ink. But I guess over time it's something I've got used to, and it's not bothered me. It's not really caused me any concern. But in light of things, I think it probably is better not to have it as Apache Sunset, but I will always remember it as Apache Sunset because that's the original name. The next pen here is the Visconti Homosapiens Demostones in Sapphire. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I have to say that I do like turquoise coloured inks, and I am really loving this colour of ink as well. So this is the Visconti Homosapiens Demostones, and it's Sapphire, and it is a medium. It's a 14 carat, not an 18 carat gold new nib from Visconti, and then the ink in here is Visconti Turquoise, which really has become my. I guess I got two really favourite turquoise inks. There is Visconti Turquoise now, Pelican Edelstein Topaz. Probably isn't as light as this one, but it's still pretty good. Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki is another one, but again, not as light. There is Diamine Aqua Blue or Aqua Lagoon. Aqua Lagoon's got a little bit more of a green to it, though. The next pen is the Visconti Chatley Luxuries Southwest. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I hadn't actually used this for probably about 4 days, so I think this just had a little bit of a hard start there. So this is the Visconti Chatterley Luxuries Southwest, and it is a medium, and it's an 18 carat gold. It's a new 18 karat gold nib from Visconti, and then the ink in here is quite simply Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. A discontinued ink now. I think it was, I want to say 2021. It probably was it was probably 2020 or maybe even 2019 that it was discontinued. I think I bought 3 bottles that I could find from a retailer in 2020. So it must have been 2019, 2018, maybe even that it was discontinued. The last pen inked up is the Visconti Homosapiens London Fog. We'll do an ink swatch here. Now this one I haven't actually written with for a few days, so let's see if I can get this going. Do an ink swatch. There you go. It's now whiting quite nicely. This is a fine nib, so it is quite fine. So this is the Visconti Homosapiens London Fog, and it is a fine, and it's the older 23 carat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki, and this isn't a turquoise coloured ink. It's a nice blue ink, but it's a lot darker than most turquoise. You can find that it will be a little bit lighter in other pens, though. That certainly is a possibility. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Montegrappa Extra Otto Pearl Grey in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Venustus London Fog. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 in the striped zebra in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Grape. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Vertical Zebra in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackermann Binnenhof Blues. We have a Montagrappa Extra 1930 Dover piece in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackermann Dutch Masters Steenrud van Vermeer. We have an Onoto Rosetta stone in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Iwashizuku Kirisami. We have a London Pen Company NONA 14 in Bohemian Twilight in a broad steel nib inked up with Caran d'Ache Vibrant Green. We have a Ryan Krusac Legend 16 in a Dragon Slayer in a medium steel nib inked up with Noodler's Southwest Sunset or Apache Sunset. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Demostones in Sapphire in a medium 14 karat gold nib inked up with Visconti Turquoise. We have a Visconti Chatley Luxuries Southwest in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. And we have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog in a fine 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pilot Iwashizuku Konpeki. So there you have it, that's my currently ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.